Good morning, everyone. I realized I said 10:01, but I definitely meant 11:01 Central Standard Time. I think we have several people joining us from all over the place, though, so time is an abstract in this situation. My name is Caitlin Quillen, and I am one of the career coaches at the Wisconsin School of Business. I am super excited to be joined today by several wonderful subject matter experts that I think are going to give some great advice on recruitment, especially as an international student. So before we get started, in the chat function, there is a survey. If you are a current student or a recent alumni, we'd love for you to take that. It should take about 5 minutes, no more. As well, I'm going to ask that everyone stay muted. You can also turn off your cameras if you're not one of the presenters. At the end of the presentation, there will be time for questions. That is when you can turn your camera back on to engage with everyone. The other thing that I want to share is that this presentation is being recorded and will be shared later, so I will have that access for you. You can put any questions or comments in the chat, and I will relay those to our presenters as well as follow up with them at the end of the presentation. And then with that, I would like to introduce our three guests. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that they can show you their wonderful faces and also introduce themselves.
Hi, Kathleen, can you hear me? Okay, I can kickstart. Good morning, everyone from Chicago. My name is Kwan Segal. This is my second time collaborating with Kathleen, so it's such an honor to be back here again, and kudos to all of you who take an initiative to be here today. And I'm so happy that today we also have attorney Art and Sean joining us as well. So this webinar is going to be so packed with great information for you guys. If we haven't met before, my students call me Coach Kwan, and you can call me Coach Kwan as well. I'm the founder of ICAway. I have more than 15 years of work experience specializing in learning and development. And my past corporate experience includes BMW, Accenture, and Deloitte. I'm originally from Bangkok, Thailand. And when I moved to the US in 2014, I needed to overcome all kinds of job search barriers that non-American candidates usually experience, just like all of you now who are experienced, obstacles finding job. It wasn't easy for me, even with 10 plus years of work experience. I got lots of rejection at the beginning, but I learned and adapted and finally found the right approach to find jobs, to network with people, and finally got hired by Deloitte Consulting here in Chicago. So from that point on, I volunteer and coaching international students. I founded ICAway in 2017. So I help my students build networking skills, which is so important, and also career branding, which we will share some of those strategy with you today. And I'm so looking forward to hearing your story as well about your barriers in searching for job in today, uncertain times, and feel free to make it interactive and ask questions at any time. Very nice meeting you all.
Thanks, Kwang. I guess I can start next. So I'm Meng. I am an international student from Beijing, China. Can you guys hear me? Oh. Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I'm an international student from Beijing, China, and I graduated from Wisconsin School of Business with majors in actuarial science, finance, and risk management in December of 2019. So almost a year ago, but time definitely flies. I feel like I was sitting in the classroom and working in the career service office just yesterday. So it's definitely a pleasure to be back. So currently I'm based out of New York City. I joined a management consulting firm called Oliver Wyman this February, and I work in their life actuarial consulting practice with projects focusing on life insurance companies, merger and acquisitions, and building actuarial models. And just briefly, I want to say it's a pleasure to be back. And thank you, Kaylin, for organizing this amazing event. I worked with her in the career advising service in the business school as a career peer advisor. And from the day one, I've worked with her. She has shown tremendous support and enthusiasm for helping international students. So we're lucky to have her as the coach in the in UW-Madison. And thank you, Kwan and Art, for joining us today as well. It's a pleasure to work with you. And I've actually saw some familiar name in the participants. So Claire Jablonski, Jamie Mikkelsen. I don't know if I missed anyone else. Good to have you join as well. I miss you guys all. Thank you. Art?
Thank you, Sean. My name is Art Serratelli, and I'm an immigration lawyer, and I'm in Virginia. So hello from Virginia. And we work with students all over the United States, and our job starts when the International Student Advising Office stops. When they get you OPT, what happens after that? If you're fortunate and hardworking like Sean, you find an employer who knows everything about immigration and work visas and green cards. If you find a mid-size employer, mid-size employers will love you because you're smart, but they might not know anything about immigration. And then the question becomes, how can I help you get the message across about immigration, but don't do it too soon. Don't say, hello, my name is Claire and I need an H-1B. Don't do that. And we're going to talk primarily about other options besides the H-1B with the lottery. The H-1B with the lottery is the best one because it's the most flexible, but it's the hardest to get. And it's hard to get because it's based on a lottery. It's random luck. You don't want to start your career based on luck. But Sean figured out a smart, good, very good way to get around that luck by giving him more chances. He gave himself more chances to enter the lottery for the H-1B, and he focused on the H-1B. If you don't have that luxury, meaning maybe your grades aren't as good as Sean's, or some other reason where you might go to a mid-size employer, then you might want to look at other visa options. And I'll just introduce you briefly to those. So that's what I'm here for. And I look forward to it. Thank you, Caitlin, and thank you, Sean, and thank you, Kwan, for setting it up.
Thank you all. I'm so excited. We are going to have a great panel today. I believe we're going to pass it over to Kwan to start us off with some pre-interview prep and kick us off.
Definitely. All right, so let me share the screen. Okay. So I think like I have about 10 minutes for this part, and then Art will share the tips of how you can prepare your work authorization, and Sean will share his own hands-on experience, which is going to be so exciting. All right, so let me first share with you these important factors, right? When employers look for candidates to hire, to get interviews. So now we talk about the pre-employment, pre-interview prep. In this session, we're gonna give you the holistic approach, right? Pre-interview, during the interview, and then post-interview. So now let's talk about this pre-interview prep. These are the factors that employers look for when hiring graduates. Let's see what the result is. In this chart, you can see that, you see, professional experience is the most important recruitment priority for global employers, right? Not just in the US, global employers, followed by target disciplines and then diversity. And these top 3 factors are very crucial for you that I would like you to prepare your profile for, okay? And here are my key takeaways from this data. Absolutely, employers look for candidates who already have exposure to real work experience the most. So before you graduate, please make sure that you earn some professional experience, paid or unpaid or campus work doesn't matter, okay? As long as you get a chance to work in a real business environment, solve real business problems, you will step up your game for your job search in the US. And you may be asking me like, Coach Kwan, what about all my prior work experience? All I got is back home, or like 3 or 5 years of work experience back home. Well, your experience back home really matters. Like for me, I also use my own work experience back in Thailand before getting hired at Deloitte. And Deloitte hired me because of my compelling stories of my work experience back in Thailand. Okay, so you can do the same as well. All right, and next key takeaway is when selecting your major, depending on the industry that you want to get in, please do your research on which type of educational background and target industries that those target industry really looking for, okay? That will help you step up your game, but it's not as crucial as like hands-on experience and skills. Okay, and last thing is so important for international students. This is your advantage, okay? Diversity. Many leading companies in the US know that diversity boosts their innovation, productivity, right? And financial performance. So therefore, next time you are asked about what are your strengths, besides all the technical skills that related to the job, be proud, okay, to share with them that you can bring diversity to the team. All right, so now we're getting closer on how to get interview, right? How to get higher chances for job interviews. If you want to have more chances of getting job interviews, you can't rely on just online application anymore because on average, only 2% of job applicants get calls for an interview, and that's before the pandemic happened. And if you dream to join big tech firms, for example, like Google, the chance is less than 1%. You only have 0.2% chance of getting hired at Google because Google received like 3.3 million job applications in 2019. It is hard to get results from applying online. That's a challenge that every job seekers every job seeker in the US faces, right? But then for international students, what happened? Your challenges will double if you wait. My phone's just responding my questions. I'm not sure if you hear that or not. My Siri, she's answering me. Okay, this is quite funny, right? All right, so let's come back to this one. The data for job hunting as a candidates in the US is already hard, but then for international students, your challenges will double. If you keep applying online, right, and wait for an interview opportunity, when you get the first phone call, the recruiter will ask this question even before they get to know you. Are you authorized to work in the US and do you need work sponsorship in the future? And when you say yes, yes, I do need work sponsorship in the future, but I will have some tips for you for that question, okay? But then if you want to be straightforward, then they will say we don't have a policy to sponsor international students. And that's kind of situation that many talented students stumble through, right? And lost your chances to present your skill in front of the hiring manager. My recommendation is why don't we all bypass all of these, including the immigration question hurdles and tap into the hidden job market? Because 80% of jobs are in the hidden job market. And the hidden job market means what? I'm not sure if you are familiar with this term. It means those are the jobs that have not been advertised or posted online at all. Okay. These employers share the opportunity with their network and keep getting candidates through referrals. Many of those jobs that already published online might already be filled internally or through referral. And that is why sometimes you don't get any responses from applying for those jobs, even though you have such a great fit resume. Okay, all you got is rejection, right? So please spend only 10% applying online and 90% networking. Okay, but for networking, it's not a numbers game. You need to build your game plan to find meaningful connections. So first, I want you to identify, okay, know your target. Who are your target professionals that you want to connect with, that you want to learn from them and engage them as your mentor, okay? And next is take action. Go and find them. What are the ways for you to find them? I'm sure that Caitlin has coached you tremendously on the tips of LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn networking. 95% of recruiters utilize LinkedIn as a major sourcing tool to find candidates. And there are over 600 million LinkedIn users out there, and 92% of Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn. why don't you optimize this channel? So if you haven't followed Caitlin guidance and mentoring on LinkedIn, start today. Please don't miss this chance, okay? And since I have limited time and will not be able to go through the details, I'd be happy to connect with you after this call, okay, on LinkedIn. First, I would love to see you on LinkedIn and just let me know that you come from this webinar so I can share a LinkedIn guidebook with you. All right. And for our friends who are listening from the recording right now, please do the same as well. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. All right, so besides that virtual platform like LinkedIn, I would like to encourage you to be involved in professional affiliations as well. Okay, that will bring you closer to your target professionals. Okay, here are some examples. Let's look at the blue table first. Okay, you can consider joining the affiliation that related to your ethnicity. Leverage your ethnicity, okay, and connect with the groups, those groups in the US. Like for me, I'm from Asian culture, so I got involved with Ascend for many of the numbers of years now, and I got a chance to connect with the top leaders, top Asian leaders in America, managing director of PwC, lots of directors level. They are wonderful people, and they want to help someone like us, right? Who are ambitious and want to be better in our career. So you can find those amazing professionals who share your, some common interests with you, at least share the same ethnicity, right? And next is the orange one. You can also find professional affiliations that is related to your interest, your target job. For example, many students right now, hot job is a product manager, right? You want to be a product manager. Why don't you join, for example, women in product? Okay, and I'm not sure how many students here from business school, maybe you are looking for a financial analyst job in the future. There are groups out there, for example, Financial Women's Association that you can join. And there are lots of, people with international backgrounds like ourselves in that group as well. So, all right, one last tip, okay? After attending those events that organized by those organizations that I share with you, please always ask for a one-on-one connection, one-on-one phone call. And you can just do that through career fair as well. And this is a message that I just got last night from one student. She went to a career fair and she successfully engaged a representative for a one-on-one meeting after that. And you can do that too. Okay. All right. So when you connect with people one-on-one, you need to have skills with the informational interviews, right? There's a lot to do with that, but I just launched a blog on this topic yesterday. So I'd be happy to share a link to that blog with you right after this. So I'm gonna share that right now. But I think from this point, we also have Art and Sean. I'm not sure, Kathleen, should we start with Art and then Art to share about the work visas, or should we have Sean? What do you think?
Yeah, I realized, I'm so sorry, Art. I skipped over you and went straight to Kwan. Why
Oh
don't
no, that's okay.
why don't we back up and go back to Art? Can you talk to us a little bit more about knowing our visa options?
Sure, sure. I'll share my screen and let's see how oh, did you already share my screen?
No,
No,
you still
I
need
just
to share
stopped
it.
sharing my screen.
There we go.
There we
Now
are.
you see it?
Yeah.
All right. So what what Kwan said is the most important. What is the most important thing to remember today? Network. And what's the next important thing? Network. And what's the other important thing? Network, 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 network. People give people jobs, not computers. Computers don't give you a job. And that's the most important thing. I can't even tell you how much that is the most important thing. Most. The next most important thing is to know that there are more visas out there than just the H-1B with the lottery. So just I only have 4 slides, but if you want to contact us, my law partner, Mara, and I, we help you, and we want to be like a career / international student advising office on campus, except we're not on campus. We don't charge anybody until you hire us to do something. And you probably won't hire us if you get a job with a big company. Big companies that know about visas have their own immigration lawyers. But if you have questions along the way about visas, like you go into an interview and you're a little worried that you have nothing to show the interviewer if they ask about a visa because you don't want to explain anything, you're not an immigration lawyer, I'll help you, I'll give you advice. And I supplement what Kwan does. In other words, Kwan knows how to get you in front of the right people. But before you go to those people, if you're worried about anything immigration, I could help if you want me to, absolutely. So contact us through email. That's our website. That's our office cell phone. This is my resume. It's mostly business, but the business background, it turns out, really helped me run our own law firm for the past 5 years. It's been fun, but I've been a lawyer since 1993. Just know that even though we're in Virginia, we have clients all over America, all over the world, and we're not the lawyer down the street. We're the lawyer down at the end of your arm, inside your smartphone. We're in your phone. We're always there. And you can reach us all over the internet. That's our website. And all these links are live, by the way. We're on Facebook, 3 places, because this is hitting 5,000 and it's going to not let me have new friends. So then I just started a new page. To heck with them. I will beat them, and I won't pay them a penny. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. I have over 6,000 people here following what I write because I'm crazy and they love it or they hate it. Some people love to hate me. Most love to love me. But if you become my friend, then you could see who I'm networked with. And then I have people who follow me that work at Amazon, for example. You don't send Amazon a resume by computer. You send a little message to the people on LinkedIn. And Caitlin and Kwan will tell you way more about that than I'll ever know. And I'm on Twitter, and we also have Instagram. Okay. Slide number 1. Figure out from the 12 work visas, which ones apply to you. How do you even go about that? Well, like Kwan said you pick your major and you pick what you want to study, usually based on your interests. And from that, you study which areas to concentrate in your studies will get you into the job market the most efficiently. The most efficient path is the interested area you have in your major, but that also gets you into the job market. So maybe studying, I don't know, maybe studying human resource management is not as good as studying psychology. If you want to go into psychological testing for future employees or troubled employees, I'm making stuff up. But listen to Kwan about how to pick the major that facilitates finding a job. And then based on your major and your country of citizenship and where you want to work. Do you want to work at a company, a nonprofit? Do you want to work at a religious organization? Depending upon these 3 variables, that's what visas you will be directed to. What do I mean by that? I mean this. You start at the end. Can you see this oval? These are the 12 visa categories, and only the first one, the H-1B with the lottery, has the lottery. So there's 2 levels of risk. The lottery is a crapshoot. It's luck. And the next level of risk is Trump. Trump could still take a winning lottery case and deny it. You got to win the lottery variable for luck number one. And then you got to have a risk of Trump denying your case if you win the lottery. Thanks a lot, America, for nothing. Thank you for nothing. So this outrages me, and it's my joy in life to beat the system. And you beat the system by using the rules of the system, and there are 12 other visa choices. So you pick the visa choices that you have available to you. And then once you do your visa planning, then you do your job search. So for me, let me move this over here. The job search is the most important thing. And I have some job search tips, but basically, if you click on this, the job search tip I have for you is your career office. And there's a lady in here. Where is she? Oh, this lady right here. You work with your career office, and that lady, that's my job search tips for you. So enough of that. But I guess the important part is going back here. What are these? How do you get into these categories? Now, the rest of the slides I'm not going to go through, but I have numbered these from 1 to 12, and I have a lot of slides about all the details of each one. And there's a video. There is, so for example, the L1, I define it. I give you the requirements. I give you some online resources. And then there's a video. And then the number 3, the cap exempt H-1B, no lottery, no lottery. There is the definition. These are the places that hire, and you don't have to have a lottery, but you still get an H-1B. And these 4 bullet points are examples of nonprofit research organizations, employer number 3, that qualifies for no lottery, cap exempt H. That's a weird category. So because people might not be familiar with nonprofit research organizations, I want you to know that they're think tanks, public policy research organizations, and trade associations. And here's an example through 4 bullet points. These bullet points are nothing but links to other links to websites, to network. What are we going to do when we use this slide? Network. What's the most important thing today? Network. Next important is this chart. So anyway, all these other slides keep going on and on and on. You can read them and watch the videos, all right? So getting back to the key slide real quickly, H-1B with the lottery, everybody knows what that is. You graduate from college, you have a college degree. The college degree is required by your job. To get one, there's a lottery. If you lose the lottery and you work at Deloitte, well, Deloitte has offices outside America. So does Google and Amazon. Bigger companies with multinational locations can send you outside America for at least a year. Now, what is an L? What is an L? You work outside America for at least a year, and then once you learn proprietary information about the company and its operations in another country, they can bring you, the company can bring you back after a year, and they can bring you back, and you use that information you got from them over there, over here. And what do you come back as? It's not an H, it's an L. H-1B with no lottery. It's just what it says. There's 3 kinds of employers that have no restriction and no lottery. It's every college and university in America can get you an H-1B with no lottery if they have a policy to do that. Colleges and university, employer type number 1, no lottery for the H. Employer type number 2, a nonprofit organization connected to a university or a college, like a hospital, Duke University Medical Center, the University of Chicago Medical Center. Those schools with hospitals in the name of the hospital, there's the university name. You get a job at that hospital in finance. You don't have to be the doctor. You go get a job in finance or computer systems an analyst at the hospital. It's a university hospital, no lottery. And then the last category is that nonprofit research organization that I showed you. I had 4 bullet points, and they're all live links. Click on them. And I sent this PowerPoint to Caitlin in email, so she has it to send to you guys. And then you always feel free to call me. Always call me. The G visa. The G visa is nothing but a 10-page list. It's a PDF of special organizations that are NGOs, non-governmental organizations, that perform financial, infrastructure, engineering, world health tasks. They're good organizations, and they will get you the visa. How do you get a G visa? You get a job, you get a visa. It's that simple. But it's hard to get the job. That's the problem. R is religious work. I said just yesterday to students, one student who studies psychology, they could be a clinical psychologist at a university hospital, clinical psychologist, university hospital, H-1B, no lottery. That same person can get a job at a private practice with a psychiatrist, and they become the clinical psychologist. Well, that's a private employer, H-1B with a lottery. Or the heck with all this H-1B stuff, if you are a person who goes to church or to temple or to any other type of place of worship, and that place of worship offers counseling services, you could be a pastoral counselor using your religious knowledge and your training at school and become an R1 religious worker. 1 major, 3 visas. All right, so I'll help you think like that. The visas between the 2 lines, remember I said one of the variables to pick a visa is your citizenship. These visas are only available to citizens of certain countries. The E3, that's Australia only, Australia citizens. TN, Mexico citizens, Canadian citizens, Mexico, Canada. And the E, there's a whole list of countries that have treaties with America that qualify you for the E treaty. And I'll just say this real quick. If you're Japanese, for example, if you're Japanese, Japan has an E2 treaty. You just have to be alive and Japanese to go get a job at an American company that's Japanese owned. That's a gift from God. There are many, many Fortune 500 companies that Kwan can show you how to network with. And inside those companies, there may or may not be people who know about the e-visa. E-visa is a gift. You're alive and you're Japanese, go send your networking skills, go send your skills out with good vibes to all the Japanese companies in America. I said this to one kid in Missouri, and the kid said, well, that's a good idea, Art, except I don't want to work with Japanese people. That's why I'm in America. So no Japanese E2 for him. And then these 4 are a little more unusual. I'll just give you the names of them. O, extraordinary ability. You got to be among the best of the best in your field. You might be too young to be the Albert Einstein of actuarial science. Maybe not, maybe yes, I don't know. P, performer. This is for the arts, music, painting, photography, or sports. Major League Baseball player, hockey, tennis, that's a P. A is for jobs in the diplomatic corps. We had a girl in New Jersey from Spain who got a job as a communication specialist with the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. She got an A visa. There's a global economy. A girl with a Spanish passport got an American work visa in that passport to go work for the Chinese government in Washington, D.C. God bless the global economy. Even though it's not in fashion right now, it is the future and you can't fight it. And then I is for journalists. So if any of these appeal to you based on your citizenship or your interests or where you want to work, then now you know where to focus your job efforts. You start here, you listen to Kwan, and then you work backwards to get a job offer to get one of these visas. And that, in a nutshell, is what I'm all about. And again, if you have any questions, email me. If it's a question best answered by Kwan or Caitlin, I'll forward the questions to them with a copy to you. If it's a question for me, I will answer it. If it's a question best answered by your F1 student or J1 student advisor, I'll forward the question to them with your carbon copy on the email. I will help you get to the right people to get your questions answered the right way, okay? And I won't send you a bill until you hire me to do something. And you're only gonna hire me if the company is a mid-sized company. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Art. We do have a couple questions coming in related to this. They're all pretty specific, so I'm going to hold off on those that are very specific to certain individuals. I'll send that email to Art, like he said, and he can answer those questions, and then we'll follow up with everyone.
But listen to Sean, because I got to tell you, this guy is a genius. I mean, his approach to the job search, everything I just said, he did it, but he did it in such a focused way that he made his life easy. I mean, he really, go ahead, Sean.
Thanks, Art. Thanks, Kwan. I guess, so I will talk a little bit about that. I wasn't planning to talk about that, but I will definitely touch on that a little bit at the end of, I guess, my experience sharing as well. So last night I was thinking about, okay, how I can make my storytelling without sounding like a motivational speaker, which is a little bit hard to do, right? You know, with this type of kind of like, you know, asking me to share my story. But thankfully, Art and Kwan has paved, you know, the topic very well. So by the end of today, you know, the one thing that you should know that is very important is networking, which is exactly how I got my job. So just so you know, Oliver Wyman Actuarial Consulting is not a typical company that gives out sponsorship. They are extremely case by case. They're extremely selective, and I got this job completely by networking. I didn't even apply, you know, to, I didn't even apply, send my resume to an online application. I found an alumni via LinkedIn, got on a phone call, and it was a great conversation that led to a phone screen, led to a on-site interview, and led to my offer. So that just tells you how important networking is. And sometimes all it takes is one network that you need to fully capitalize on. But sometimes it requires tremendous, effort, preparation work beforehand. Sometimes years and years, which is exactly my case, to find that network and get a job off of it. So I guess two things I want to share that I think have really worked really well for me and eventually allowed me to land the jobs are, first, I think I have gained many tremendous practical experiences from all of the rejections. And second, I want to say, I have been very strategic in my entire recruiting planning. And I will elaborate on those. So just so you know, I didn't get this job at Oliver Wyman easily. I have faced many rejections. So I guess just going into my first point, right? I have gained many tremendous experience from all of the rejections. So I have always wanted to break into the doors of actuarial consulting, but I have no luck. In fact, I applied to Oliver Wyman Chicago office. They rejected me. And now I'm in New York office. I can prove to them that they made a serious mistake now hiring me because Chicago is not my first choice. New York is my first choice, so that's better. But just because I have received so many rejection letters throughout the years, right? Not only internship, but at the same time full time, it forced me to interview for more companies, network with more people, and do more homework. And eventually, right, I gain experience, I gain lessons of, what's the right to say for the next one, and what I need to improve on from one rejection to another. Eventually, when I need to make that phone call with alumni at Oliver Wyman, I have all of the knowledge and I have all of the information lessons that I've learned, to make the conversation great, right? To make the most out of the informational interview. And as I said before, that led to a phone screen and led to an on-site interview, and finally got my offer. So one thing I think I would, ask, students to do is when you receive a rejection letter, just don't, be disappointed. That's, completely fine. But at the same time, maybe you reach out to the hiring manager one more time and ask them for feedback. So, okay, what you did wrong, or, what you need to improve on so you can do better next time. So I think that's one thing that really contributes to my success in landing a job, of my dream job, actually, is, gaining tremendous experience from all of the rejection letters. And second is, I think I have been very strategic in planning my recruiting throughout my college. I think it's important to incorporate both, right, fun element and strategic elements into your college studying, right? Because at the end of the day, it is college. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to, go party. But right now, you are probably should, comply to a rule, stay at home or socially distance with other people. But at the end of the day, it is supposed to be fun. But at the same time, be strategic about it, right? So I have always been strategic in my, in planning my classes, in my club involvement and internships. And I've always been mindful of what I need to put on my resume and what I can talk about in interview to make myself shine and stand out, right? So one thing I did is I tried to learn knowledge that is not taught in classes, but I know those will be important for my job, such as reading a Wall Street Journal to get an understanding of the global economy, or learning VBA, or other coding languages that I know will make myself look good on the resume. So, and those will vary, depending on what your majors are. So you want to tailor that to your own, professional goal as well, right? And one thing I want to, stress on internship, right? So right now, if you have an internship, and or you already did an internship, or you're about to have an internship, specifically for the ones, you are about to have an internship, don't just sit at your cube and do your work, and ask your manager, ask the team why the work is important, and how does your work fits into the overall strategic goal of the company. So that when you're interviewing for the next company, the company that of your dream, when they ask you about, okay, what you did, you're able to talk about not just about what you did, but at the same time, why you did it, and why you think this is important. And I think, this would really make you look good, and would really make the manager think, okay, not only this person can work, but at the same time, you can think, you can, bring value to the team, right? So I think, be strategic about your planning, incorporate fun elements into it, but at the same time, think about what you need to put on your resume, what you can talk about in the interview that will make you stand out. I think that's very important. So that's the second point. And just to close this off, right, I think Art mentions that I have been doing some narrow research that really cut down some of the inefficiencies. So I think one tip to that is, so a lot of the people, we're actually talking about this during our kind of, pre-presentation debrief thing, right? So a lot of students come to either career coaches or, some of the, the Kwan or are asking, okay, what are the list of the companies that I can apply for that I know will give sponsorships? Well, the conclusion is that we don't have a list, right? And so for me, and you really need to ask people who have experience on that. And I think that's something that you can gain from, okay, talking to industry professionals, having interviewed with so many companies so that okay, what are the typical companies who give sponsorships? Or, even more easier is, talk to upperclassmen who is international students who have been through everything. So right now, my focus in actuarial, if you ask me, I can give you a list of what are the typical companies who give sponsorship, who are the companies who, are case by case, who are the companies are just don't give sponsorship at all. So you don't need to bother to apply for them, right? I can give you that. But if you ask me for finance, if you ask me about tech, I don't know about that. So you really need to find, an upperclassman who have the experience to get that information. And that's the power of networking, right? The more people you talk to, the more you know. and later on, you know, you can cut down a lot of inefficiencies so that you can focus more of your time on things, you know, that's are really important, which is, you know, maybe prepping for interview or prepping for the phone call that you need to make. So I guess that's a little bit about my story. And I guess, I don't know, do we want to go to the next session, or do we want to answer questions for now?
Sean asked questions and asked for advice. What is networking? Networking, you can get so wrapped up in the word networking, you don't know what that means. You start drawing yourself as a dot and all these web lines coming out of you. It's not that. It's asking human beings for advice. How do I become like you when I grow up? And they'll tell you. People love to talk about themselves. And if you ask them how they did what they did, they'll tell you. And if they like you while they tell you, they'll help you find a job, maybe. But you don't ask for a job. You do what Sean did. You ask for information and advice. I'm done.
Thank you, Art and Sean. That was very, very helpful. I want to just reiterate one thing that Sean said. So when Sean's referring to that there isn't a list, Sean means that quite literally. There is no list. Sean can tell you from his brain database things that have worked with him. But if you go and ask Kwan or I, what is the list of people that can sponsor you? I can tell you right here in this moment who I know, and it could change in an hour. So each company doesn't have a set, this year we are sponsoring, this year we are not sponsoring. It really changes on a case-by-case basis. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you, Sean. That was really helpful to hear from your story. I'd love for us to move into interviewing and really talking about best practices when it comes to that. Kwan, would you like to start us off?
Definitely, I can do that. And yes, amazing story, Sean, and all great touch point. It's so important, right? HR policy keep changing. All you need to do is to get insight from people inside the company. And now let's imagine you already got inside the company and your network, right? Your connection already refer you directly to the hiring manager. Then what can you prepare for it? Okay, so let us have a look quickly here. I'm sure that you are familiar with this flow, right, of American job interviews. Um, you know about, give you elevator pitch, right? Tell me about yourself, technical interview, behavioral interviews. Sean point out great examples, like you need to tell them, give them specific examples on what you did to answer those technical and behavioral interviews. And if you can also explain why you did it, it's going to be amazing. Like you can show your thinking process and also prepare the questions to ask your interviewers as well. So this is a classic snapshot of the job interview flow of maybe first interview, second interview, depending on the company style. Okay. But then one thing that I want to point out, as an international student, that we might not be so familiar with American culture. You can also make small talk at the beginning of the job interview. So make sure that you do that. Okay. You will surprisingly create some bonding with the interviewer through that small talk. So don't forget to start the interview with a friendly small talk. Being friendly with small talk is the art of polite conversation in America. In this session, I want to just focus on two parts here, okay? Some common mistakes when students are asked to introduce themselves, and also some tips to create a conversation with your interviewers, okay? All right, for a simple question like tell me about yourself, one common mistake that I have seen a lot from students is that sometimes you spend over 3 minutes, you know, narrating your story. And those things are not relevant to the job to the skills that they are looking for, to the qualities that they are looking for. You provide long story that is irrelevant. I want you to remember this 10-second rule, okay? As you begin to speak, okay, the interviewer is listening with full attention. That is great, right? The first 10 seconds. After about 10 seconds, let me go back one step here. They begin to listen with less attention. And then after 60 seconds, their mind begins to wander, right? And they pay half of their attention to you. after you've been speaking over 90 seconds without any interrupting. Tell me about yourself. Well, you tell everything like where you were born, what you have done in the past, all your bachelor's degree, master's degree. Then interviewer not listening at all. So next time, please try to make yourself introduction crisp and clear. That's very important first impression, okay? Make it relevant to the position. Make sure that you read the job description and highlight those things, at least top 3 selling point. Remember the magic 3. Top 3 selling point that you need to highlight in that first 10 seconds, okay? The first 10 seconds. And also tell them as well, like why you want to apply for this company. What about it that you so admire, Give the interviewers some room to be curious about your background, right? And want to ask more, want to ask follow-up question. Okay, so less is more, you guys. You don't have to come up with a long introduction, okay? And then please remember this. Employers are like your consumers, okay? They are looking for investing in something, which is you, to come into the team and solve specific problems that they have. There's a job because there is a problem. Okay? It is important to create a conversation with your interviewers in order to uncover their true needs. Okay? As much as they are trying to get to know you, you should be trying to get to know them as well. It's a two-way communication in the job interview. You need to ask questions in order to find out why they are hiring, all right? Because there could be many reasons of hiring, like for example someone quit the job, right? But that's not it. There could be some other reason, like there's too much workload for the current team right now, or there is business a new business going on, new project going on, and they need more people with specific skills, right? Or there is a new organization structure, especially during this pandemic. Lots of organization, they pause hiring because they use this time to reevaluate their organization efficiency, okay, effectiveness, and they restructure. So old position has been removed and new position has been created. Once you know the employer's objective of hiring, you can align your story and your strengths with what they are looking for. So make sure that you create a conversation and think of your employers like your consumer, okay? Why they need the product, why they need you to be on board. Okay, and come back to Sean's story. With informational interviews, it will also give you some research, right? Good information before you even get that interview. So make sure that you talk to people inside the company to get that insights. Okay. Now, you should always ask questions that will help you come up with a pitch, right? That the interviewer wants to listen, right? So I'm just gonna share with you this magic question that I really love. Okay. What are the current challenges that your team or your company is facing? This question is a magic question because it gives you the chance to discuss a tangible outcome that you can bring to the table, bring to the team. Okay. One important thing for international students, during the job interview is that you need to be extra good. Okay, just imagine like 2 qualified candidates are right in front of the hiring manager. One doesn't need work sponsorship and one may need work sponsorship in the future. Why they want to invest in you more? Because of your passion in the company, what they are doing, because of your specific examples that you can show to them that, right, I'm both of us, both of the 2 candidates have SQL skills, but then I know how to use that SQL skills to solve that problem that you are having, right? Show them that specific example. Be extra good. All right, so that is all from me. Just a quick tips for your next job interviews. I think we have great stories from Sean and Art as well.
Yeah. Art, do you want to start or do you want me to start? Okay, sounds good. So I think I wasn't planning to share stories here, but I think one thing I want to stress what Kwan said is asking about what the companies. I think that's a great question. Like what situation or challenges are the companies facing right now, right? So just so you know, so I think 2 weeks ago, so Oliver Wyman did a campus recruiting, I guess, interview, right? So I was on the other side. I was actually interviewing other people. So it was good to, see the, I guess, my own reaction to be on the other side of the, I guess, interview, right? So one thing I think we ask a lot of people is, right, you need to focus on, I guess, the current event, right? So COVID-19. So we actually asked the candidates, right? Okay, what do you think are some of the challenges insurance companies are facing amid COVID-19? And I think this will become a trend in a lot of interview questions, regardless of whether you're going to finance, regardless whether you're going to tech or any other industries, right? And I think this is something that you can get information beforehand by conducting informational interview, right? When you're conducting an informational interview, you can ask the people, right? That is not an interview. You can ask them, okay, what are some of the challenges this industry is facing? And you can actually, basically leverage that answer to, make yourself look good in the actual interview that you're about to do, right? So I think, this is the power of, stay current on the current event, but at the same time, the power of information interviews, get information that you don't know, and leverage that to, I guess, make yourself shine in the interview session, right? And one thing I think I want to specifically point out is, so 2 weeks ago, I was conducting interviews for 7 candidates. One thing that specifically, stick out to me that I don't think is important is the first impression, right? The confidence level. So there are 2 kind of candidates. One candidate is, I feel like he is not that confident. He is quiet. He's unsure about his answer. I asked him a lot of technical questions. He got all of the technical questions right, but it's just the impression is not that good because he doesn't feel like he's so confident. And the other candidate, he is so confident. So even though he didn't get all of my technical questions right, but at the end, I still prefer the second candidate who is more confident, because at the end of the day, when we are hiring you, so all of those technical things are things that we can train you on, we can teach you. But for you to have that confidence level coming into the organization, believing you can add a value to the team, I think that made a significant difference, right? So I think this is something everyone should pay attention to when you're going into the interview, regardless of whether you feel like you're qualified or no. Show that you're confident, show that you deserve to be there, and speak to your own experience, and just and I think that would make a completely big difference. And the second thing I think is important is so when you are preparing your interview questions, your interview answers, put yourself in the shoes of a recruiter, right? Critique your answers, record your answers, record your responses, and see what are missing and what are some of the places that you can improve on, and ask other people to listen to do a mock interview with you, to really improve on your interview responses. I think when I was working in the career engagement studio at business school, I did a lot of mock interviews with students, and I was wondering, like, some of them are bad, and I was wondering, like, why. So, like, if you are actually, thinking about that in a recruiter perspective, you wouldn't give your response a pass. So, I think, doing that self due diligence is very important. And I think last is, just, practice. I think the baseline that you like, the baseline fluency that you want to achieve is, making sure when someone asks you a question, you're able to, automatically think a response to that question, right? So you don't want to have that awkward, I don't know, like awkward moment where you are trying to think. I mean, you definitely can take some minutes to think about it, but you don't want to, just feel like, okay, you don't have example to give. So practice is very important. But yeah, I guess, those are the several tips that I, would offer to students, and I think are very important.
And just real quick, nothing earth shattering. I will go back to the PowerPoint and the plan your job search tips slide. The box at the bottom basically takes every bullet point and makes it bigger and expands on it. And the thing I'm going to show you now is me. You can talk to the Career Center. You could talk to a Kwan. You could talk to me. And when I focus on the job search, it's way too narrow. You need to take my advice and put it in the big picture of what Kwan and Sean just said. I'm really giving you advice about smaller companies, mid-sized companies that know nothing about visas. They're going to ask you immigration questions on the job application and in the interview. And a lot of times they'll ask you, this is what impressed me about Sean. I said, hey, Sean, how did you handle in the interview when the interviewers asked you, hey, Sean, we like you, but we never really thought about visas. How do we hire you? You're the guy from China that knows nothing about immigration law. Why don't you tell us about immigration law for America? Because we don't know. And Sean should have said, you know, are you kidding me? You're the American. You tell me. Hello. But instead, Sean told me this answer. He said, oh, I didn't even go there. I made sure that when I interviewed, the people knew about visas. They knew that there was a visa and they knew how to get one. Whether they wanted to give it to me was another story. So that was brilliant. I'm telling you, he focused. So what I'm going to show you is nothing more than clicking on this link. And I have a YouTube video, which I've already muted. I'll just tell you what I think in my narrow world about the job application questions that deal with your immigration status and the job interview questions, like when Kwan asked you in the interview sometimes, will you need to answer this question? So do you need a visa sponsorship? Or on the job application, do you need visa sponsorship? There's a lot of ways to answer that. And I guess the point is, you have to be comfortable with the answer you give. And I'll give you 3 answers, the middle of the road, the most conservative, and the most outrageous. But as long as you have a reason for giving those answers, you'll never be embarrassed. If you can explain why you answered the way you did, if anybody asks you, I'll tell you the benefits and risks of each approach, and check out that video. And again, it's in the PowerPoint slide in the job tips section. And if you have any questions, let me know. Email, leave us a text message on the office phone, whatever you think. Just like Kwan said, let us know that you're from University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we'll get right back to you. Top of the list. Thanks.
These are all really fantastic suggestions. I think one thing too that I just want to reiterate that I'm hearing from all 3 of the panelists is that there's really no one correct way. There's no checklist of exactly how to do what you're supposed to do. It's more of creating your own brand, creating your own style, and showcasing that with confidence. So I just wanted to reiterate that because I thought that was really powerful that I heard from all 3 of you. For this last little section, I know we are over time. We are going to go over just 10 minutes. So you're welcome to stay, but if you need to run off, please do. I'm going to hold Art, Sean, and Kwan hostage for just a little bit longer though. I'd love for us to end on the post-interview follow-up. What do you do after you've gone through the process and you don't know what's going to happen next? And Kwan, I think you can start with us again, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. And thank you so much. And that was an amazing summary that you just mentioned, right? Every one of us has our individual, authentic stories. So know your uniqueness, right? And then highlight that. That's an amazing summary, Kathleen. So maybe at the end, after you get all the interviews, you did your best, what you should do next. I'm just, I'm a big fan of thank you, right? Show your appreciation. And before the pandemic, I love this thank you card. You can even bring thank you card with you when you go for the on-site job interview and write it down, leave it with the receptionist or put it in the mailbox of the company. That's before the pandemic and hopefully after the pandemic. All right. Thank you. Handwritten thank you card is the best. But then during this time, yes, you can also send the email, connect with your interviewers through LinkedIn, show them appreciation, put, a positive note in that thank you note, either from email or LinkedIn, or even you don't have their email address. You can also ask your recruiter, right? Can I have um, for example, can I have Sean's email address? I would like to write him a quick thank you, message for him spending time interviewing me, right? So don't forget to send a thank you note. That is one point. And after all the interviews, you did your best. Well, be prepared for two scenarios, of course, right? Get a job offer or not getting a job offer. Not getting a job offer is not the end of the day. All right. One thing that I would like you to empower that moment, just like Sean just shared with you, rejections help him improve. And one interesting fact is that if you already went through like multiple rounds of job interviews, already built some rapport with the interviewers, unfortunately they choose someone over you, that's okay. Engage that relationship, right, for future connection. You can send show your spirit, right? Respond to that rejection email and let him know that, or her know that, you would like to keep in touch in the future. Okay, and wish them good luck with their new project or whatever they are pursuing. Then yes, follow up maybe a month later, two months later, the pandemic is over, ask for a coffee meeting. Okay, you can always engage your interviewers for future connection as well. Don't lose that connection, don't lose that bridge that you have already built. And what about if you get a job offer? Definitely negotiate for the best salary, right? Don't feel that you need sponsorship in the future and you cannot negotiate. Yes, you can. Many students of mine, if they don't negotiate, they may lose like 10%, right? They normally get more from negotiation, and you can negotiate more than a salary. It can be like the whole package, more paid time off, so many things. Okay, consult with Caitlin, learn from your career services resource about the ways to negotiate, what are the things that you can negotiate. And one more thing, for international students who have prior work experience back home, please make sure that you contact all your past employers, ask them for the employment letter. Okay, connect with your former supervisor or HR department, make sure that they are ready to answer the phone calls when your new employers reach out to them. So background check is an important process here in the US, and make sure that you have that ready as well. So that's all from my part, and I would love to hear the hands-on real experience from Sean as well, and then Art for the policies and visas.
So I guess I feel like Kwan covered it all. I really don't have too many special things. So I would say thank you email is very important. 2 weeks ago, one intern that I really like, and we decided to extend him the offer. He didn't write me a thank you email. I actually still hold him, against that. So I mean, but we still like him. But it's just like a thank you email goes a really long way. Not only that shows you are showing gratitude, for the interview, but at the same time, it shows that you are interested, in the company. When he didn't send me that thank you email, I was kind of, doubting. Okay, is he still interested? Is he still interested in Oliver Wyman? So that kind of gave me a doubt, right? So thank you email is very important. And I will also ask, so definitely, keep all of the companies that you interviewed with on your deadline, right? So say if you are waiting to hear back from Oliver Wyman, say, and you receive another offer from another company and you have a deadline, make sure you tell the deadline, communicate the deadline with the company that you're really interested in, so that they can get back to you in a timely manner. So I think that's very important. And yeah, rejection happens a lot. It happens to me. I got more rejection letters than offer letters, and that's just how I grow. But I think one specific thing I mentioned in my first part of the storytelling is ask for feedbacks when they give back the rejection letter, which I think now it should be the obligation, the responsibility from the company, not from the student, because you know, students are taking time to interview with you, you know, at least you can, you know, give them feedback so that they can grow. So I think this should definitely be, I don't know, like a topic or a trend that companies should be, you know, take on going forward. But, you know, just in case they don't, you know, they just send you like automatic rejection letters, ask for feedbacks, ask, you know, email the person that you are in, that you interviewed with and ask for feedback. I think that's a really good way to grow for the next time. Yeah, I don't think there's any more things I want to stress out. I think Kwan covered it all. So yeah, Art.
The only thing I'll add is, even though I focus on immigration and will answer all your immigration questions, downplay immigration. The less you talk about it, the better off you are. If it never comes up, don't bring it up. Remember, don't walk into the interview and say, hello, I'm Ramesh Patel. I would like an H-1B application on April 1st. And then I'm ready to start with the H-1B on October 1st. And then maybe we could talk later about the green card. And that's the first thing you say. No, don't talk about it at all unless it comes up, and never mention it in the follow-up thank you note to remind them you're an oddball. You're the oddball who needs a visa. No. So don't talk about it if you can avoid it. That's my whole summary of all of this. I'll tell you everything you need to know, but then you got to know when to not talk about it. So that's there. Those are my parting words.
I will just say, usually, you know, companies right now, at least my company, and I think other companies right now, they're, you know, just doing the logistic questions, you know, from the bat, from the interview, at the beginning of the interview, they will ask you, okay, are you legally required to, are you legally authorized to work in America, and do you know, require any of the work authorization? So I think a lot of times those will come up. But, you know, sometimes I think, you know, they should be done, you know, way earlier, you know, like phone screening, or I don't know, the right before the on-site interview, where you get all excited about, okay, I might get this job, but at the end they tell you, okay, unfortunately we don't sponsor. So again, I think this is something that companies should be doing, you know, from the beginning of the interview process. But yeah, I do agree with Art's approach. You know, you are not lying. You're just, you know, I guess, you know, you're just not giving information that they did not ask for. Yeah.
And if you do get asked on a job application or pre-screening or in the interview, before you go into any of those situations, watch that video I showed you. Ask me, ask Sean, email us, and we'll tell you what you tell us the situation, and I'll give you some choices on what you can answer and how and why. And if you can say whatever one makes you comfortable and have a reason for it, then that's okay. But if it doesn't come up, don't bring it up.
This is fantastic. This is a great, I think, ending point. I would love to hear from Art, Sean, and Kwan, just maybe one last piece of advice or one last special thing that you would like to share with the audience that has to do with being an international student and navigating recruitment in the United States.
Yeah, I can kickstart as well. Just a very short, key takeaways from me. I would say, nothing great ever comes that easy, right? And nothing great start inside your comfort zone. So one thing about being an international student, being an immigrant here in this big, amazing, full of opportunities country, you need to step outside your comfort zone. And I totally encourage you to do that, okay? And start early, start your journey early. Don't wait until you need a job. I'm so glad that you all taking initiative to be here joining us today, and this is amazing. Stay engaged with your career services. Follow Caitlin's guidance, mentoring with all the job search strategy. Attend all the events if you can, okay? And I'm rooting for you all.
So I guess my advice is, along the same line with Kwan, definitely show initiatives, because the options that you are facing is already limited, right? But you can, do like your own, I don't know, like the show initiatives to make up for that, right? To show you have the skills, show you have the value to contribute to the team. So I think, yeah, definitely show initiatives, be active. And I think one thing that has really worked well for me, at least for my mindset, is that even though I know I'm an international student, but I don't let this hold back on my ambitions, I would say, so I just view that as probably, that will limit some of my options, but I don't see this as a huge obstacle, right? I think once you get that kind of, mindset out of the way, you're able to really embrace all of the opportunities, be active and be, I don't know, just encompassing all of the opportunities that come to your way. So I think that's one suggestion I would give to all of the fellow students.
And I would just say that as an international student in America, your family is halfway around the world. You might feel a little alone. You might feel a little isolated. You might feel like there's no support network. You might feel limited, like Sean said, and you've got to expand your horizons and be proactive. And Kwan said, we're rooting for you. And you could be my kid. You could be my kid. And if the shoe were on the other foot and it was my kid in another country and there was someone like me in that other country who could help my kid and they didn't, shame on them. Shame, shame. So I will feel the human dignity, the human responsibility, the obligation, a moral obligation to answer your questions and help you the best I can. Because if I help you and you get a job, we win, Trump loses, your family wins, the school wins, everybody wins. And I can sit in my little house and feel like I just threw the winning touchdown of the Super Bowl because we got an international student a job when it's supposed to be so hard to do. It ain't that hard if you're willing to face rejection, if you're willing to put in the time. I promise you, you'll do your best, and that's all you can do. And you'll be proud of yourself, and so will we. We'll all be proud of you. Okay. Keep in touch.
Fantastic. Thank you all. I'm going to share my screen and share one last thing for all of our participants and individuals that are here today. Let's see if I can do it. You're all probably seeing my dog now. So I want to just say thank you to Sean and Art and Kwan. I mean, this really exceeded my expectations, so I really hope it helped all of the international students and alumni and any staff or faculty that are here with us too. So just huge shout out and silent round of applause for you all. I know you can't hear it, but I know that it's happening. For everyone that attended today, you will be receiving a follow-up email. It will be huge with tons of resources, contacts, all of the PowerPoint information, and hopefully a recording of this will either fit or I'll give you the link to where it will live. I will also be including all of the UW-Madison specific resources. So the different career offices that you can go to continue this conversation, as well as specific resources for international students. I do want to say that we have a follow-up survey, which if you scan that, you can take very quickly. All individuals who complete the follow-up survey will be entered into a raffle to win 2 amazing prizes. Those 2 prizes are, one is a package with Kwan to continue the conversation and have a personalized career coach opportunity. And the second is a package with Art to specifically talk about visa options and different networking and different legal obligations related to policy with him. So very excited. I really encourage you to finish the follow-up survey. I will be sending out this email earlier this upcoming week with everything. So give us a little bit of time to respond. So if you don't get it right away, give me till Friday. The last thing that I just want to plug for everyone is that you do have a support system here at UW-Madison. It might be hidden or in very random places that you can't always find, but you just need to find those people that do want to support you. I love that Kwan and Art and Sean all said, we're rooting for you. We want you to find success. And so utilize us so that we can help you. With that, I am going to close this. We will stay on for a little bit, but all questions, please email to me and I will make sure that you get the answer. Thank you again, Art, Sean, and Kwan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kathleen. Such an honor to be here. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend and have fun. Even though the situation is weird out there, 2020 needs to just go away, but have as much fun as you possibly can and smile.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.